You are being robbed every single day, and the thief is the system you were raised to trust. Not by your employer. Not by the government. By the fundamental structure of how you earn money. This is the wealth code. And today I want to ask you one question: if you stopped working tomorrow, how long before your life falls apart? Here is a number that should disturb you. According to the Federal Reserve's survey of consumer finances, the top 1% of Americans hold more wealth than the entire bottom 90% combined. But that is not the shocking part. The shocking part is this: most of those wealthy people stopped trading time for money decades ago. While you were perfecting your craft, climbing your ladder, and earning every dollar with hours of your life, they built systems that earn while they sleep. And nobody, not your school, not your parents, not your HR department, ever sat you down and explained why that gap exists. Or how it works. Or what it would actually take to cross it. Until now. The job you are proud of, the salary you negotiated, the raise you earned, it is a ceiling disguised as a reward. Earned income is the most taxed, most fragile, and most limited form of income that exists. It requires your continuous presence. The moment you stop earning. That is not a job. That is a leash with a paycheck attached. Now I am not here to tell you work is bad. Work builds character, skill, and capital. But working and only working, swapping hours for dollars forever, is a trap. A beautifully designed, socially celebrated trap. And here is the brutal truth most financial channels will not say out loud: the trap was built intentionally. Not out of malice. Out of incentive. Systems reward what sustains them. So why do intelligent people stay stuck in this cycle? Why do we keep trading time for money even when we intellectually know there are other ways? The answer lives inside your brain, specifically in something psychologists call loss aversion. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, two of the most important researchers in behavioral economics, demonstrated through decades of work that humans feel the pain of losing something roughly twice as intensely as the pleasure of gaining the same thing. Their prospect theory, published in 1979, fundamentally changed how we understand financial decision-making. What does that mean in practice? The guaranteed paycheck feels like safety. The idea of investing time or capital into something that might not pay off immediately, that feels like loss. Your brain is wired to protect what it has. So you stay. There is also what psychologist Sean Aker calls the happiness advantage trap, the belief that security now is worth more than freedom later. We discount future rewards heavily. Behavioral economists call this hyperbolic discounting. And then there is identity. For many people, especially high earners, their professional title is not just a job. It is who they are. Surgeon. Partner. Director. Researcher Carol Dweck's work on identity and self-concept shows us that when your identity is fused with your output, stepping back from that output feels like self-erasure. You are not lazy. You are not unintelligent. You are neurologically predisposed to choose the familiar income over the uncertain one. But predisposed is not the same as predetermined. Let us step back. Because this is not just a psychological story, it is a structural one. The tax code in almost every Western country is written in a way that penalizes earned income most aggressively. In the United States, earned income can be taxed at rates up to 37% at the federal level, before state taxes, before Social Security, before Medicare. Capital gains, the income wealthy people earn from assets, is taxed at a maximum of 20% for long-term holdings. That is not an accident. The people who write tax legislation are largely the same people who benefit from asset income. This is not conspiracy, it is documented, public, and has been studied extensively by economists like Emmanuel Saez and Gabriel Zuckman at UC Berkeley. Schools teach you to be employable, not wealthy. There is a difference, and that difference is enormous. Employable means you can sell your time reliably. Wealthy means you own things that generate value whether you show up or not. We spend 12+ years learning to be the former. We spend almost zero time learning to be the latter. And corporations benefit enormously from a workforce that believes the paycheck is the destination. Loyal, motivated employees who live paycheck to paycheck, who cannot afford to quit, are the most predictable labor force imaginable. Again, not malice. Incentive. But understanding that incentive changes everything. Now here is where it gets practical, and specific. The ultra-wealthy do not simply invest. Everyone knows wealthy people invest. That is surface level. What they actually do differently is far more precise. First, they obsess over the ratio of active to passive income. Not just the total number. The ratio. A wealthy person earning $200,000 per year in passive income feels more secure than a professional earning $500,000 in salary, because one requires their life, and the other does not. They constantly ask, what percentage of my income requires me? Second, they buy time before they buy luxury. This is one of the most underdiscussed behaviors in wealth psychology. Research by Ashley Willens at Harvard Business School found that people who spend money to buy back their time, outsourcing tasks, automating processes, hiring support, report significantly higher levels of life satisfaction than those who spend on material goods. The wealthy internalize this instinctively. They are not buying the watch. They are buying the hour. Third, they treat their personal finances like a portfolio, not a paycheck. Every dollar that comes in gets evaluated. Is this dollar working? Is it sitting idle? Is it building something? Morgan Housel, in his book The Psychology of Money, describes wealthy individuals as people who are less interested in looking rich and more interested in having options. Options require capital. Capital requires assets. Assets require you to stop spending every dollar you earn. Fourth, and this one is rarely said, they deliberately manufacture optionality. They make decisions today specifically to give themselves more choices tomorrow. Taking a lower-paying role that builds transferable skills. Starting a side project with no immediate return. These are not inefficiencies. They are investments in future leverage. So how do you actually begin to break out of this? Not theoretically. Practically. Step 1, calculate your true hourly rate, and face it honestly. Take your annual salary. Subtract taxes. Subtract the cost of commuting, work clothes, decompression time, sleep lost to work stress, meals eaten out of convenience. Now divide by the actual hours your job consumes, not the contracted hours, the real hours. Most people who do this for the first time are genuinely shocked. Your true hourly rate is often half what you assumed. That number is your baseline. You need to make it irrelevant. Step 2, start building a second income stream before you need one. This is critical. Most people try to escape their job when they are desperate, and desperation produces bad decisions. Start small. A skill turned into freelance work. A piece of content that could earn ad revenue. A single share of a dividend-paying asset. The size does not matter at the start. The habit does. You are rewiring your identity from worker to owner. Step 3. Automate your investment before you can spend it. This is not new advice, but the psychological mechanism behind it matters. When money moves automatically to an investment account before you see it, you bypass the loss aversion response entirely. You never had it. You cannot miss what you never held. Behavioral economist Richard Thaler, who won the Nobel Prize for his work on nudge theory, demonstrated that automatic enrollment in savings programs increases participation rates dramatically. Use the system against itself. Step 4. Audit your time like it is your most valuable asset, because it is. Every week, map where your hours actually go. Then ask, which of these hours are building something that compounds? Which are simply being exchanged for a single payment that disappears when spent? This is not about grinding more hours. It is about redirecting even a few hours per week toward creation, ownership, or skill building that generates future returns. None of this is overnight. But all of it is cumulative. The wealthiest people in the world did not earn their way to freedom, they built systems that made their time optional. You were taught that hard work leads to wealth. And hard work matters, but it is not sufficient. The missing variable is ownership. Not just of assets, but of your time. Every hour you trade is an hour gone. Every system you build is an hour you get back forever. The goal is not to stop working. The goal is to make working a choice, not a requirement. On this channel, we go deeper into the psychology of money, wealth, and the invisible patterns that keep most people exactly where they are. New video every single day. If this shifted something for you, subscribe, because tomorrow we go even deeper. And if you want to take this further right now, watch our video on why most people never build real savings, not because of income, but because of the psychological stories they tell themselves about money. It might be the most important thing you watch this week.